The hours go by and they keep hitting on, walking my baby back home. We stop for a while, she gives me a smile, colors her hair to my chest. Started to click and that's when I kept the falcon all over my best roll, and after I got straight in my tie, she has to borrow my car. One missing, we continue again, walking my baby back home. Walking my baby back home. I'm over better move on, walking my baby back home. We go along harmonizing the song, or she recites a poem. Hours go by and I keep it out, walking my baby back home. We stop for a while, she gives me a smile, and comes her head to my chest. We started to click, and that's when I get her talcum all over my vest.
Matter of tradition, like, you know, handed down, father to son, your grandfathers, all this, like, it's a matter of pride, really, with stevedores. It was like, I mean, there's lots of good doctors, you know what I mean, I know tons of good doctors, but stevedores especially, his top stevedore gangs was brilliant.
My family, my dad was in the same gang with me, my uncle was the ganger. Our progress from starting there as a barge hand, which was the hardest thing, to put you in the barge with a T. They put me straight in at the deep end when I was 21. And I wound up the ganger when my uncle retired.
It was all local chaps, all their fathers and uncles and all that had been in it, because you could only get in the dock if you had family already in there.
My family all worked in the Surrey, and my brother, the old man, my cousins, my uncles, all worked in the Surrey. When I got my brief, stevedore's brief, I worked as a gear boy.
I think one of the greatest privileges I had was being able to work with my dad. Brothers were there, you know. It was great.
You knew each other, and it was all families. And families was brought up together in the East End and South London and all over. And them families were dock families, if you know what I mean. So you become a closer unit, in other words.
Uncle, Dad, my uncle was a stevedore. My dad was a stevedore, my uncle was a lighterman. Grandfather worked in the docks. Uncles, most of the family worked in and around the docks. Even along where I lived, right opposite, there was wharves. The rice, one would service rice, one would do lard. My mum worked in the lard packers and the rice mills. There'd be mainly Christmas work leading up to Christmas. So it was a big part of my life growing up.
I suppose the first relationship was my dad. He worked in there till he died. Then Harry, my husband, he's dead. But I suppose every friend I've ever known always originally started somewhere in the dock. Either their dad was in it or they was in it. Or on the river, like the lighterman.
You tried to keep fit in the docks because if you were fit, you worked easy. If you were not fit, you worked hard.
But you work fucking hard, mate. You know, you got nothing for nothing in there. That's why I'm fucking like this. No, but I enjoyed it. Can hardly fucking walk now.
And it was a funny thing with him because he was a Japanese prison war camp for 4.5 years, so we couldn't go on Japanese ships because he would have physically attacked the Japanese, so we couldn't go on him because he'd come out still a strong man. He was still a strong man after that, like 4.5 years. So we was excused going on Japanese boats.
We was at a fight out by a board. All right. We was all countenance to an hard knuckle. We was learned. We was learned because we all belonged to clubs. We all belonged to clubs talking about first class boxing clubs. So we knew that this was going to be a fight up the gangway. And you had to fight, your hook was always in your belt. So if they got out swords, scimitars or whatever they wanted to get out, you get your cargo all out. All right, come on, let's have you.
You're out, you're cold, you're out on, you start a ship the first thing in the morning and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning and it's freezing cold and your hands are cold. But not a lot of bad, there's some bad accidents, but not very many really.
What a lot of blokes used to do, just hold the bite. But sometimes just a little, what they call half a crown, a little turn in the rope, somewhere in the rope, and sometimes it used to pull your hand into the bite. So you got a ton of sugar, you used to screw your hands off. You had a beam come down off the top, a 2-ton beam, 30 hundredweight 2-ton beam. It come down and punched an hole right through him.
It's a very dangerous occupation because the crane was lifting something over your head. You never wore any safety helmets or anything like that.
You got grabbed by sugar grab. Come over, you're the chief, got in like that. And he went right over the top of him, went, come, you imagine his legs, come, just crunched all his legs up. He was looking like that. You see Stevie was, I'd lost the habit now, if I used to go out to the pub, I'd be looking like that, because you had to keep looking up, in case anything come down, you know what I mean? And he had his face pinched off, and the boys just cuddled him for 20 odd minutes while he died. Just talking to him, he had no face. I lost 7 mates in there, 7 blokes.
You never know our fathers as young men. They would look fucking old at 40, didn't they? Poor old bastards, all gas in the first old fucking war, weren't they?
I had a myriad times of happiness, and I cannot visualise myself without my life, without the dogs, without.
Never meet better people.
I was happy the dogs, tremendously happy.
He loved every minute of it. I think it was because of things now I can't even remember, but things used to come home with some of the sayings and the nicknames.
It was the happiest days of my life. Unbelievable.
The greatest characters you've ever met in the docks.
When the docks was thriving, yeah, I think he really enjoyed it. We used to get lots of goodies as well.
And of course the pubs opened at 6 in the mornings, and some of the harder drinkers used to be in the pub early for their pint to stop themselves shaking, you know what I mean? But it used to be wonderful to be there, colourful of it.
Happy days, full of sweat and smoke and good people. Yeah.
That was the art of the situation where people lined up to do these things to get your boys, our boys, the best in the world.
Stood out in the picket line together, more or less start together, you know what I mean? Come out with a principle and stay there like. Ain't gonna leg you over, ain't gonna do you down, ain't gonna talk behind your back. These are genuine blokes. Best people God put breath in my opinion, Dr. and Stevie Dawes.
We were brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, we were brothers. Everybody, they're wonderful men really, dockers.
Everyone did look out for each other. Wherever you go, you're going to get your people that know everything about everyone else. But this was in a more caring way. People did look out for each other and did help each other, and everyone was sort of in the same situation. A lot of the families down here worked in the docks.
We become an insular society because nobody give a fuck about us. The papers run us down. We was always on strike, lazy bastards, this and that. That's all we ever done with it. Can't strike and hold the country around small this time. We went out about dangerous ships. We went on strike with dangerous ships, not dosh. Because people was getting hurt.
We was all friends, we were all mates. But as I said, the camaraderie was first class.
Very close. Very close. Everybody looked out for everybody else, and everybody looked out for everybody else's children.
A man got killed, a bucket come round. That's how Johnny Smith got killed at Tudor Street, for argument's sake. You didn't know Johnny Smith, you go, yeah, £1/4. So I took it round to the wife and said, yeah, like, can't bring him back, but that'll keep you going for a little while. You know what I mean? We looked after each other.
They are the greatest people in the world. And I swear their life away.
But they had a very strong feeling of community, of identity, much more, I think, than anywhere else. And I think they felt they really identified with this area. They loved it, and they were insular. They didn't really welcome outsiders.
That's the place. People with crowns up here and all that, and trying to bamboozle you. If you want, when I say bamboozle you ain't getting away with that, son. Son, I've got a fucking boy older than you. I've got a bike older than you, and all that silly gun. Yeah, I've got a bike older than you. I always used to say that, and I had a bike older than them. You know. That is true.
Basically, we got stabbed in the back twice.
Oh, definitely the government, yeah. Her name didn't come down too well, if you know what I mean. Maggie Thatcher.
I put it down to the employers that we had, not reinvesting in container things and the forklifts, the lifting gear.
I'd like to say that it was the employers.
And I keep getting back to Mrs. Thatcher, but she done more damage in this country to me than Adolf Hitler did. And he was dropping bombs all over the places.
Containerisation, packaging, bigger ships, and practically another item I think was property values. The docks were worth a hell of a lot of money, the land values.
I mean, the container revolution just flattened it. That was the real reason, I believe.
Close, because the property was worth more than we was, wasn't it? That was the only reason the docks closed.
Well, devastation, you know, just absolutely like someone pulling the heart out of you, because it was a way of life.
Choked, absolutely choked.
Gutted, but we had shortly before they shut, we had an 8-week strike, and although I had a bad back, I felt so strongly about it, I come back to work.
My lip began to swell, and it just swelled out. My wife sent for the doctor.
All the old boys, I've watched them die to nothing, practically to nothing.
Oh, gutted. Absolutely gutted.